Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Shooting Rabbits in a Barrel, a podcast brought to you by Scarecrow Consultants. I'm joined today by Fatima. Hi, Fatima.
Hello.
It's so nice to have you here. You are hot off the ASEC stage from winning the Emerging Talent Award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So we didn't know each other before, but I approached you and said, would you like to come on Shooting Rabbits? So thank you very much for being a willing participant. How are you? What's new with you?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this podcast and allowing me to share my journey with everyone, and in the hope that somebody would get inspired and motivated along their journey as I was inspired by someone along my journey. But yeah, I've been good. Just started a new job at Aston Martin and juggling between life and work these days.
Classic, that's it, yeah. Excellent, great. Well, to remind our listeners, we ask everybody two questions. We ask, what story would you like to share with us today? And what valuable lesson did you learn? So, Fatima, what story would you like to share with us today?
I think I would like to start with the life experience that I had when I was back in Dubai and working as a pre-sales slash design engineer. So my previous company had this policy, not policy, a structured approach where they would recognize and appreciate their employees by giving them quarterly an award, which was called a stop bot. And I distinctly remember that I had won one of the quarterly awards, and I was over the clouds, happy and joyful that I have won this award. I exited the conference room and came back to my office. And I had to do some testing on a PLC that they were designing. And I made the most basic mistake of my life when I was testing that PLC, where I plugged in a 230 volts adapter into a 12 volts plug in that PLC, and I just blew up that PLC.
Okay.
And can you imagine? I had an award in my hand. I had just placed it on my desk, and I blew up that PLC. And what happened afterwards was there was a short circuit in my office, which basically led to electricity cut off in my CEO's office as well. My CEO came in into that office, and all of my colleagues stood up and started clapping for me, saying, "Welcome to the club." I was very embarrassed, but at the same time, I was really grateful that life taught me a very, very valuable lesson. Never let success get to your head.
Yeah.
And I am very grateful to all of my colleagues who stood up and clapped for me, because that supportive environment actually told me another lesson, which was, if you have the right support of people around you, no failure is a big failure. I could have easily let my confidence down. I could have thought, okay, you know what, one basic mistake and I'm going to give up engineering. But no, I realized that whatever you do, whatever problems that you face in your life, you can never be 100% right and 100% perfect. We are not photons, and we're not going to travel in straight line. We're going to
Yeah.
deviate. And it's fine. It's okay. Mistakes are a part of your life, especially in engineering, because engineering is life and life is engineering. So yeah, don't be disheartened if you make a mistake in your life, whether it's personal or professional. You should just know how to stand up after making that mistake.
Mhm. Amazing. That's a very valuable lesson. I think we get so obsessed with perfection, and in engineering it's just not like that, and there is a massive part of failing, learning, getting back up, continuing, learning the lessons from that, moving on. It's a creative process, right? I think people miss this. Engineering is inherently creative, and part of that is, oh, this didn't work out, I'm going to try something else, or I don't quite like how that looked, I'm moving on. And this is something we just completely miss when we look at it in a purely technical STEM type way.
Yeah.
Do you have additional stories to share about your journey into engineering?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you're very right. Yes, perfection is good to achieve, but it's fine, like, if you don't get there in the first instance. So
Mm-hmm.
building upon that story, that day I realized that I have to do something about with my life. Like, there has to be something else, because I realized, okay, I'm resilient. I have the capacity to take on more challenges. So this one fine day, I was talking to a friend and I was like, I need to do something with my life. I don't know what's the next step. And he told me about systems engineering. He wasn't aware much himself, but he told me like probably the next step for you would be systems engineering. I started Googling, I started researching what is systems engineering all about. And I stumbled upon a course on Coursera, which was all about systems engineering. I took that course and I was quite interested in how things were laid out in that course. And it made me realize that back in that part of the world, you are not recognized as a systems engineer, but you are actually doing work as a systems engineer. Because I was heavily involved in requirements, I was heavily involved in stakeholder needs and whatever is part of the V life cycle, which gave me a thought, okay, might as well research a bit more into systems engineering. And then I came across Incozy. And Incozy had all these level of certifications. And I thought, okay, probably just go for the first level of certification. I sat down for the exam, really learned and grasped all the knowledge that the handbook had to give. And that moment, I realized that the experience that I had accumulated over the years was actually backed by scientific knowledge in the handbook, which was quite a nice way to say, okay, I have the experience and now I have the knowledge as well. And that's how I got my ASAP certification from Incozy.
Yay!
And yeah, I think after that, I had just set out in my mind that I have to do systems engineering properly in any part of the world where it is properly recognized. And I think I was quite fortunate that I got a job in UK and with Capgemini, and the people who entrusted me with my skills basically at that time. So yeah, I think from there it was just onwards and upwards. And after working for a year with Capgemini, I think I realized it's time to apply for CSAP as well. That's the second level of certification within Incozy. I was very reluctant because I didn't know that whatever experience that I had was actually right for applying for CSAP or certified systems engineering professional. But when I sat down with the competencies of Incozy and I started mapping my experience, I honestly thought to myself that whatever I have been doing so far was not a wasted experience. Every single thing that I did mapped quite nicely with the three competencies that I was working towards. And yes, that PLC blowing up story, which is like very, like minimal in someone's life, that actually accounted for how I overcame that problem and how I solved that problem and how it led me to who I am. So my point is no experience is a wasted experience. You just have to be very careful in what you are doing. And once you have the right knowledge and once you have the right goals in your head, no force on this earth can stop you from achieving where you want to be. So and that's how I think when I landed my CSAP certificate, I was very happy because I'm telling you, like, I wasn't sure that I would get it because I was like, okay, the by experience, like nobody recognizes me. Even my job title didn't say that I was a systems engineer. I think it was, I'm quite pleased that I had help from a friend who helped me structure my application very nicely. And the way it was all laid out, I think when I had the final draft in my hand, I was very proud of myself, saying, okay, yes, I didn't know how all of this is written very nicely in Incozy, but you can actually translate your experience. So yeah, that's how I got into systems engineering. And there is no deadline for you to switch your careers, switch basically you want to do in whatever you want to do in your life. So yeah.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so empowering and lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Fatima. I think we've got the lesson, but are there any lessons you wanted to pick out of that in addition? But I think
I think that's pretty much it. But I think just one piece of advice for anybody who is starting a career into systems engineering, or anybody who's just embarking on their journey as an engineer, there are going to be a lot of challenges in your way. And life is not a straight path. There will be so many times where if your professional life is going okay, your personal life is going to probably be like, demotivate you or something.
Like, yeah.
It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So I think when I started my journey from Pakistan to Dubai and then Dubai to UK, I had already moved 2 countries in a span of 8 years. And I can say it was empowering, but at the same time, it was all struggles, tears, I don't know what else. But I think with the right support and with the right, if you have the objective set, the end goal set in your mind, you can do whatever you want to do. So don't be disheartened. Keep moving forward, and eventually you will get where you want to get in your life.
I love it. I love it so much. I think that's something that so many systems engineers have in common, is none of it. Well, okay, I say this because I actually did start out wanting to be a systems engineer, but so many others is they didn't start out wanting to be a systems engineer. You don't realize you're doing it. Somebody exactly has happened to you, nudges you, say, oh, by the way, did you know actually what you're doing is systems engineering? And lots of people come to it a roundabout way. But I think that's actually really what makes us so strong as a discipline, is everybody has these different technical journeys, I guess. Some people are physicists, some people are mathematicians, some people are mechanical engineers, and we bring all of that to that big picture view. So yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for sure. Fatima, this was such a lovely story. I feel inspired. Thank you for sharing with us. I cannot wait to see what you do next in your new role, on your exciting journey. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute delight to have you, and I hope our paths will continue to cross.
Thank you so much, Jess. It's been lovely sharing my story with you and probably the listeners. But yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and all the best for your new future roles. And hopefully we'll meet up again soon.
For sure. Okay, well, listeners, if you've enjoyed listening to this and you want to get involved, you can email us at rabbits. I always have to think about this. rabbits@scarecrowconsultants.co.uk, and come and join us on the podcast. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye.